Hi, my name is Matthew Parker. Slipping off the ground and into the sky with no limit in sight, I had finally reached my goal. Ever since I was young, I had dreamt of becoming a pilot. Along my journey, I have learned that time, self-discipline, and patience are all required to earn your pilot's license, and that allows anyone to earn their pilot's license. The first step to achieving my goal was patience. Starting my dream at the age of 9, there was a lot of time between 9 and 17. It was a long few years, but definitely rewarding and enjoyable. First thing I had to do was start by saving my money, which was really difficult for a 9-year-old at the time, and even through high school and junior high, putting my money away towards something that I couldn't even do for a few more years was really difficult for me to grasp and understand, but I knew that the reward in the end would be worth it. The other thing that had to deal with patience was weather and other things that come up with flying, because there's a lot of things that go into flying that many people don't think about, such as taking tests, exams, remembering emergency procedures, and knowing the in and out of the airplane. It took a lot of time to really understand these things and a lot of patience to really grasp what they were and how they worked. The thing about weather was that for a lot of your training you have to do cross-country flights, and you have to fly from here to say Lincoln or Omaha or Kearney, and when you fly these places the weather has to be good, the clouds make things challenging, the wind is challenging, because if the wind shifts on the runways then you might not be able to land there. With any task in life, self-discipline is key. Putting schoolwork first was one of the most challenging things for me to earn my license. Especially going through junior high and high school, it was hard to find a time management for me because of my age. I really hadn't had anything put on my plate that I could really work with to grasp and understand on how to do things the right way. So I would do my schoolwork first, and then instead of hanging out with friends and going to movies and stuff like that, I had to train myself to have self-discipline, to put my head in the books and read and study and learn the curriculum that I had to learn. I had to take at least 5 tests in total, one of them being the FAA standardization exam, which was one of the most challenging exams that you have to take to earn your license. The other thing was setting time aside to fly and study. And like I just said, 5 tests does take a lot of time to accomplish. So the end thing about self-discipline was that there was no shortcuts, especially in the aviation industry. There's no such thing as complacency, because if you become complacent, a lot of bad things can happen, from crashes to minor incidents on the runway. So the thing that I had to realize was, even though it took longer to accomplish, I knew I was going to be safer in the end. No matter how patient or self-disciplined you are, the time to achieve the goal is inevitable. That brings me into my third topic. Waiting for the years to go by was really challenging, because I always had to sit in the co-pilot seat with my dad flying, and I realized at a very early start that I didn't really enjoy it as much because I wasn't the one getting to fly. That's when I realized that I wanted to earn the license myself. Most people earn their license in about 6 months, but since I was so young at the age of 9, there was a lot of time in between, and I started my ground school when I was 15, which included all the tests that you had to take, and then I started my flight training a little bit later on when I was 15, and I ended up soloing at the age of 16, and a little bit after my 17th birthday I finally achieved earning my license. The thing that was really amazing for me was how rewarding it was when I took off the ground in the plane by myself, and then when I earned my license and took up my first passenger. It was a pretty cool and surreal experience to finally accomplish that goal that I'd been going for about 8 years. So, as I said, by the age of 17 I had finally earned my license. My family was very proud of me, and it was one of the most rewarding things that I had done in my life at the time. The one thing that I'm really glad that I can say is, with time, self-discipline, and patience, I can take all those things away from earning my license and put those towards future goals and dreams that I have.